Voting aye, the motion carries and the agenda will be amended. We do have a public hearing on the final plans for Ray Hamilton moving at 4817 Section Avenue, but we do have a request to address council. Mr. Jay Willis from Ray Hamilton, would you like to come up to the podium? If you can just give us your name and address.
You bet. My name is Jay Wallace, and I live at 6326 Trail Ridge Court in Loveland, Ohio.
Thank you.
So it's nice to meet all of you finally. I've been looking forward to the day to kind of complete this process. So I thought I'd just give you a brief summary. Vera and Jerry have been pretty helpful, so I've provided a lot of information to Vera up front, which had all the specific plans and color drawings and everything. And I think that there's a copy floating around somewhere.
Yeah. Small copy.
So hopefully that's everything you need. So it's a compacted site view of the property. The property consists of 2 lots, and it's just under like 5 acres of space. I think everybody knows where it's at. It's right on the levee, catty corner to what's developing over across the street. The property is unique. We bought it from Park National in receivership, and it was marked a brownfield. And through really Jerry Stoker's, awareness of what's available to process that brownfield, it was an interesting process to go with the Ohio EPA and go through that and learn about the history of the property, and then what could be done to make the property productive. So we went through that process. I learned a lot about brownfields, and Governor Kasich certainly has a very good program there. So we completed it. We got a no further action letter from the environmental engineer, a guy named Mark Reinhold with SRW, and we proceeded down the process of designing the building and trying to make it useful for a business in the community. So we've completed that. It's been an interesting process. Ray Hamilton has been in business in Hamilton County for 138 years. I've worked in that business pretty much my whole career. I wasn't born in Cincinnati, but I grew up here and moved away, came back. I have 3 children that are in the Loveland school system. My wife Holly's with me. And really the neat thing about that excites me about it is that it allows Ray Hamilton to really continue, its tradition within the city. And there's not a lot of businesses that are over 100 years old that are still in existence today. So the last Hamilton was Ray Hamilton Jr. And when I bought the business, he was not involved in business. He's retired. He's about 80 years old. Big guy. I never met him before, and a very healthy guy. And he said something to me, when I had lunch with him, I think before or right after I bought the business, and he said, I'd hate to be the guy that, is responsible for the company if it ever went away with that many years of service. So that's kind of really hung true with me, and our business is alive and well. The business that we work in is not the easiest business in the world. And so I'm proud, for the Hamilton family for it to continue, proud for all of our employees. We've significantly grown our business, and we continue, to have, good years of growth. The thing about transportation and, moving is people employ, what I think to be a lot of people. And that number continues to grow every year. So, and the thing that we really try to promote within our company is the ability for the employee to contribute, gain a wage out of it, but really to be a part of something. And we're a small business, so it allows us to get to know each other pretty well. So the business is strong, good. The property is exciting for us. We haven't been in a building that we've either designed or that owned, I guess. We've been renting for some time since the Hamilton family kind of got out of the business. And so it's exciting for everybody to have something that's their own, they can take care of, and then, be designed properly. And it's really kind of a unique thing for us. The reason that we selected the site was probably the most important thing was to service our customer base, which is predominantly the business community in Cincinnati. We're not a household goods mover, so we work with businesses and businesses only. And we're 1.52 miles from Children's Hospital, which is our largest customer. So it allows them, a modern facility where they can do their business and be close to their campus to provide, the supplies that are needed every day to run that organization, which, continues to amaze me on how big that's become. So I've worked a lot with Jerry in the development, trying to get it to where it looks good and, fits into what's going on. I would think that you guys are excited about what's going on with the lateral. Growing up here and being in Norwood a lot, it's exciting for me to see all the development that's going on, which, I was apprehensive when I moved out to Loveland, because when I grew up in Cincinnati, that was the country. And then I went to Mason, and it was a little too far. So being in the city is real important for Ray Hamilton. So we're glad that we can be a part of that and revitalize that, piece of land that's been vacant for some time. So hopefully that's a quick summary.
Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Wallace? Mr. Sanker?
Yes, Mr. Wallace. It's a total of about 40,000 square feet. Is that the
Structure?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And then as far as warehousing space in there, is that half of it, or 3/4, or 90%?
It's the building's really not a warehouse, right?
Okay.
So if we were going to build a warehouse, we'd go out to Butler County and build a warehouse that's 150,000, 250,000 square feet. It's really what we do. It's the fulfillment.
Okay.
So what happens is things come into that facility, sit on that floor for a very short time, and then get distributed out within the city. So to really capitalize what we're doing with it, it's our corporate office where all my employees are at, and then it's really a fulfillment type center, for predominantly the businesses in Cincinnati. So, 40,000 square foot facility in our business is quite small, and that's what it's being used for.
Well, it's just
Sanker?
basically more distribution type.
Yeah, it's not storage.
Yes, okay. Hello?
Mr. Thornberg?
Oh, sorry.
The traffic that will be coming in and out of the facility, how big of trucks are we talking about? How often? What time of day? That kind of thing.
Really, the way that our business works is it's predominantly, if you can imagine, the fulfillment of a hospital like Children's, right? So deliveries are made during the day that fulfill the next orders for the next day. So you would have normal business traffic, 8 to 5 for the deliveries. And then we don't, our operation is such where it's predominantly, 8 to 5 is where that activity happens. And then certainly our employees might be a little bit more than 8 to 5 there. But so it's light traffic that I think that you won't see very much different from what you see over there today in the employees coming and going.
If I could follow up, in terms of the trucks, what are the largest trucks you expect to be moving, pulling out? Are we like semis or?
Yeah, tractor trailers and what we would call a straight truck. So.
And I don't know what that means.
A tractor trailer is a combination between a power unit and a trailer, and a straight truck is
It's all one.
It's all one unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Sanker, did you have another question?
Yes, as far as, to kind of touch on what Steve was saying, as far as the trucks entering and exiting the property, would they be coming in and off of Section, or would they be coming up Franklin, or?
Yeah, our focal point to get in and out, right, if we're leaving the facility,
Yeah.
The employees will go probably different ways, but the truck traffic will predominantly make a left and go north on Section,
Okay.
and then cross the overpass and then make a left on Tennessee down to Reading to gain access to the lateral.
Did somebody over here have a question? Mr. Whittington?
How many employees do you have at this location?
We have, at this location, we have planned probably about 20 people in the office, and then trying to think of the driver base that would support that, probably 20 to 30 people. So say probably 60.
60.
In what we plan for the future is probably to add office staff more than physical drivers for what that site does.
Okay.
Mr. Sanker?
Yep. One follow-up, Mr. Wallace. The face of the building, like the office structure of the building, will that be facing section, like the east side? That would be
Yeah,
like the
there's a
face of
really-
the building?
Really good drawing of it. It has all four corners on it, but.
Yeah,
if
I
you-
was
if you
looking
were
at that, but it just didn't have any
Yeah,
streets.
it's hard to get a sense of
It didn't have any
Yeah,
streets.
there's a good one here that you can see, but, so
I'm
if you're,
assuming that's what
if
it
you're
is.
at the
We're looking at the
urology
east
center, looking across, or I guess if you're coming west on the lateral, you'll see the corner, so it would be the east-north corner, is there's some design and facade there with glass. And then there's more of a cityscape that goes down section as you go south.
Yep.
And then the front of the building, faces the lateral, and, we'd have, our docks and our space there, so it's really positioned to look out on the lateral, sort of like the urology center is, where they have the front windows looking out, onto the lateral.
Is this the correct drawing, sir?
There's a color one, I think. Yeah, that's a really good drawing. So you see, do you mind if you see, if you look at the corner, let me get my bearings real quick. Yeah, so the top one is the east side of the building facing section. So you see the glass facade that's at the corner, that's kind of facing eastbound on the lateral. And what we try to do is kind of appropriately design the front to kind of fit into that street that's going on that street. And you see the front, the facade comes around the front, and that's where the vehicles are parked to load and unload. And the back is just a non-intrusive, scenario. And then we've got on the back side of the residential, we've got, I can't remember the specs, some type of privacy fence, trees that you'll see on the site plan. It has all the vegetation on it and the fencing on it. Does that help?
Very much so, yep.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Mr.
Great,
Wallace.
thank you.
Appreciate it. We don't have an ordinance accepting this, we just have the public hearing and that's
Just
it.
have a public hearing, we'll do the ordinance on the 10th.
Okay, just wanted to double check. So my question was, we'll have the public hearing, but there is no ordinance for consideration. We'll do that at the next council meeting. So I will declare this public hearing open to consider the final plans for Ray Hamilton moving at 4817 Section Avenue in Norwood, Ohio. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the final plans? Anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Hearing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak against the final plan for Ray Hamilton moving at 4817 Section Avenue? Anyone who wishes to speak against? Hearing none, I will declare this public hearing closed. And we will have, again, consideration of the ordinance, accepting these final plans at our November meeting.
Madam President, I think,
I was trying to get your attention, sorry.
I'm sorry, sir, what, did you have a question or did you want to speak?
Yes. I apologize if I thought you were going to look up and see me, but it's okay. I just wanted to, being a resident here in Norwood, I was honored to meet.
Should you fix that microphone?
Can we, is it something that that can wait until you address, come forward to the microphone.
I'm Pastor James here in Norwood, and I was very pleased to meet Jay and Holly as we came in, and I was very excited to hear that we have yet another company moving into our fine community. There were a couple of questions that I did have in terms of a new company coming in. One of the questions was answered, how many employees? With Norwood being such a diverse community now, with businesses moving in, one of my questions was, are there or what are their plans for Ray Hamilton to have a community presence here in Norwood? And if that hadn't been a topic, maybe that can become a topic of one of your designs or plans as you move in, because I'm personally very excited. I know the residents and the businesses here in the city is likewise excited, but to have maybe a community presence, as some of the larger cities have had when companies come in to a community, one of the focus points would be youth, recreation, something, just having some type of a community presence to really add to the community. And so I felt that was important to just throw that out. But personally, I'm very glad to have another thriving business here. And thank you.
Thank you. I apologize I did not see you during the public hearing.
Oh, that's.
We'll move on to minutes of the previous meeting. We do have the minutes from the September 22nd, 2015 meeting. Mr. Clark.
Move to approve the minutes as of read.
Seconded by Mr. Whittington. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We will move on to reports of standing committees. The first is a Finance and Claims Committee report. Mr. Sanker?
Thank you, Madam President. This committee report of Finance and Claims dated 10/27/2015 to the Honorable Council of the City of Norwood, Ohio. We, your Committee of Finance and Claims, to who was referred the 2015 appropriations, beg leave to submit the following report. We reviewed open PO requests and approved some of them by moving funds to other areas. We recommend that the changes listed on Exhibit A be approved at the 10/27/15 regular council meeting. We also discussed ordering the 2 trucks for Public Works, and the payments would not begin until 2016. We hope to take delivery by December of 2015. Respectfully submitted, Joe Sanker, John Mumper, Steve Thornberry, and Mr. Tom Whittington.
Mr. Mumford?
I move the committee report be accepted.
Seconded by Mr. Thornberry. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We'll move on to introductory readings of ordinances. The first is an ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that we suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of the ordinance.
Second by Mr. Clark. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sanker.
Briefly, Madam President, just to highlight a few items that were some of the changes that are being made. In the Earnings Tax Department, those are refunds that are being sent back for overpayment. The Billing Department, the personnel key, we're going up in there in order to cover the last few months of the additional inspector in the Building Department. And the other funds that you see down below where it says that we're increasing, those are due to revenue from those funds that come in that needed to be adjusted there. So those are kind of the highlights of where we're at there. In order to meet some of the obligations on the top, some of the funds on the bottom were reduced in order to balance out.
Thank you, Mr. Sanker. Is there any other discussion? The motion on the floor is to suspend the rules. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have all 3 readings.
Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mumper.
I move the ordinance be passed.
Seconded by Mr. Whittington. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We'll move on to introductory readings of resolutions. This is a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Mr. Sanker.
Madam President, I recommend we have suspend the rules and have all three readings by caption only.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sanker.
Yes, Madam President, if I could go through the chair and have the auditor give a brief explanation of this resolution. We did discuss it at Finance, but I think it'd be good for everybody else to hear why we're working on this resolution.
Mr. Stiff.
Yes, Madam President. The requirements of the state and the county before they disperse the property tax, which is collected by the county from the citizens, and much of it earmarked, or some of it earmarked, to come back to the city for general operating expenses. Before that can be authorized for disbursement, the city must show what our intent is to use those tax dollars. If we don't tell them what we're going to use it for, they won't give it to us, basically. So every year we prepare what's called a tax budget, which is due in June, which is a preliminary budget for the following year. So this past June, we passed one for 2016, showing our projected revenue and our projected expenses for the following year. That is the first step of the budgetary process for 2016. Those documents are approved by council when there's a public hearing, which happened during June, or May, and then beginning of June, and they're sent down to the county. The County Budget Commission reviews those. Make sure our math is right, our projections are reasonable. It's by no means accurate because it is projecting into the future based on past performance, but it shows that we're thinking about our money ahead of time. The County Budget Commission then looks at that and says, okay, we like what you're doing with this, so how much you're actually going to get, according to our projections, from your property tax, from the levies that have been passed, is this amount. And they send this 2-page document with a lot of small writing that breaks down to how much the city's portion of the property tax that's collected actually comes back to the city to help pay our expenses. Once we get this, council needs to look at this and say, okay, we're passing a resolution. We resolve that that amount is okay to us, and then next year we get our property taxes. So it is this kind of long process that shows that we will be using the money responsibly under the state guidelines. So to give you an idea, real estate tax is about $2.1 million, with the rollback and homestead of about $480,000. Our total tax levy that comes to the city next year for property tax will be about $2.6 million. Now, that sounds like a lot. It has been more, it has been less. If you want to know how much of your property tax this equates to, you can go to my website, norwoodauditor.com. Big red button on the top of the front page says press here. About the second item down gives you a nice big pie chart that shows you out of every dollar that you spend in property tax, how much comes to the city. About 10 cents. And what you see on that pie chart is, I just took my own property tax bill and broke it down and said this much goes to schools, this much goes to the MRDD, this much goes to Children's Hospital, this is your zoo levy, this is your library levy. The city gets about 10 cents. So this is the process that we have to do to get that 10 cents from your property tax to get back here to hopefully fill the pothole on the street to your house and pay the police and fire to operate the city services. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Stiff? Thank you, Mr. Stiff. Is there any, the motion on the floor is to suspend the rules. Is there any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have all three readings.
Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Mr. Mupper.
I move the resolution be passed.
Seconded by Mr. Thornberry. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Move on to administration reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President.
First of all, an added item, did you hear the frustration in the auditor's voice when he mentioned your tax bill? Did you hear that frustration? If you look at your tax bill, and then we've said this, I don't know how many times, how much money actually comes to the city on your tax bill. Goes back to the same old adage, that's why getting business in the city is important. The city has always survived on business tax, on earnings tax, as long as I've been around. And we basically depend on that, rather than your property tax. Most of the property tax does not come to the city of Norwood. County auditor said one time, people would call him up and say, complain to him about the amount of taxes they're paying. And he said, don't tell me, you voted for it, which is a fact. So when you hear that frustration, that's the same frustration that a lot of people that have been involved in the city for a long time understand. Sometimes our residents look at their tax bill and they think it's all going to the city of Norwood. It is not. So I can understand his frustration. A little bit of history on Saturday, October 17th, Marianne and I attended the Norwood Promise Run 5K or Diploma Dash. It started out at Shea Stadium. I was invited to fire the pistol to start the race. Mr. Sanker was a leader, I believe, in leading the pack. Chris Brown, I think, chose not to run. He was handing out the bagels. But it was really a nice day, and once again, it comes down to the same thing which I've said as long as I've been in office. The city doesn't exist without volunteers. They had a truckload of volunteers that they put out going on corners to flag traffic and to block traffic for the runners. And that's how the city survives, is on those many volunteers, whether it be the Norwood Promise or the band or any part of the schools or Christmastown. The city survives on people getting involved in the city and volunteering. And I'm sure you all appreciate what they do. This evening I was invited down to the substation to meet with the Police Explorers. It's a program that they put on where they go down and they train over a period of time about police tactics and everything else, and then they actually go compete. So I attended one of their classes tonight. It was very interesting, and I'm deeply appreciative of what they're doing. I've also been invited to appear or come down to the police club. It's at the middle school library. That's Thursday night. So these are all good things, and I deeply appreciate the invitations to attend. Also tonight at 5:30 to 7:30, CDK, the new company coming into our city, held a career event over at right across the street at 4650 Montgomery Road at Central Park, and it was well attended. And it was not really to fill out applications. It was for people to come in, meet with city officials, get to know them, find out what the process is going to be. So as things change and they come up, we will keep you posted. It's an opportunity for people in this city and everywhere else who are looking for employment or a change of employment to work close to home. So that'll begin shortly. Chris Brown and I tonight, had a conversation prior to the meeting. We both believe, and there's nothing that in writing that says this. Let me preface that so I don't get misquoted. There's nothing in writing that says this, but Chris and I both get the impression we're in the phase now of talking to attorneys to set up the agreements and some additional things that are going to go on over there. We both believe that process over there is going to move a lot faster than we had anticipated. I was talking to a guy tonight from CDK who is out of New Jersey, and he is very enthusiastic about it. They're glad to be here. They're reaching out in the community and meeting people around. And I got the impression, and I think Mr. Brown did too, that over there is going to progress a lot faster than what anybody anticipated. We were having some discussions with the developer over there. There are some things that I think that they would like to see happen. And so, and I'm not giving away any secrets, and there are some things that the law department and I talked about tonight that we would like to see happen. So when you have that sort of a discussion going on, that means if they would like to see something happen, we would like, what do we get and what do they get? So our job is to take care of businesses and build it up, but we also have to look at what's best for the city. And we'll keep you posted as that goes on. This is going to be a different process than in the past where we were under a development agreement, we couldn't discuss it. Some of these things we'll be able to discuss openly, and we will keep council appraised of what we're doing. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions of the mayor? Ms. Allen?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, can you remind me, and maybe it was said when CDK did their presentation, but do they have a commitment to hiring a percentage of Norwood folks? Has that been in the discussions at all, or?
No, there was no commitment whatsoever. I think Mr. Thornberry asked about the what they were looking for. They're looking for some college education. They're looking for a lot of things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. In discussing with them tonight, I seen some more Norwood people over there tonight, and that also heard about it. So we will keep Norwood posted on what's going on. They put out press releases, and you'll see it in the paper or whatever on the news. But as we find out about it, we'll let you. We'll certainly put it out, because we keep saying, and this is going to be down the road. It's going to be a very important event in the city because of the ripple effect that we've talked about over and over and over, whether it be shopping, like Chris said, if you have 1,000 people come in and 15 people out of 1,000 buy a home, that's 15 homes sold. So you have restaurants and you have clothing, you have grocery stores. So there's a lot that can have a ripple effect. And will we do what we can to get Norwood people hired? Absolutely we will. Absolutely.
Any other questions of the mayor? Mr. Sanker?
Yeah, Mayor, I didn't know, I haven't seen one, but I didn't know if we could get the leaf pickup schedule posted on the website so people have an idea.
Good question. It was asked. It was out. It's now in repair.
Okay.
So it was out, but yeah, we'll get the schedule out because it was out for a while. Now it's been repaired. Some things sit over the winter, over the summertime, they have a tendency to break. So it's out being repaired now. We know we'll get that out.
Thanks.
And there are lawn and leaf bags that are available through the Norwood Health Department that you can bag them. Those are for free. If you bring in your proof that you live in Norwood, you can pick up those lawn and leaf bags free from the Health Department and place those at the curb for recycling, I think through like the first part of December.
Yeah.
So, probably Public Works would prefer that.
Yeah, we'll put it out, and like I said, it's being repaired now.
Ms. Schenker, do you have another question?
Yes, just one more. It may be more appropriate for the law director, but is there any new developments with quality? I know that the sign has the facing off, because I believe Cancun's gone now, but I didn't know if there's anything new and exciting going on over there.
Chris, I don't know how exciting it is. I mean, it's been going on since last August, but, you know, like Chris said, no matter how long it takes the fact of the matter is, there's no prostitution, there's no drug sales going over there. And they wouldn't bring anything that much into the city anyway. So I know that there's somebody that's been interested in it. We understand that some money's come in. But now I understand, and I'll talk to Chris about this, that there's another interested party, but I don't know whether it's too late. This party has a lot of money, but and they're interested in it, and they own hotels in Hawaii and Los Angeles and South Korea. So, but I don't know where the other one stands. If there's been any new developments on it that Chris can talk about it, I can't.
Mr. Brown, do you have any?
No, I have nothing to add except that it's closed, and we're monitoring the situation, and as things develop, we'll bring it to council, probably in executive session, since it's pending litigation, and discuss it at that point.
Any other questions of the mayor? Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
We do have one other request to address council. Pastor Sonny James, you want to come up, give us your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes to address council.
Good evening, I'm Pastor Sonny James here at Norwood, 1830 Hopkins Avenue. I'm very pleased again to be able to address council and the residents of Norwood. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. We're upon another election process that's happening, and I have personally walked and talked to a little over 350 residents in Norwood personally, and I'm hearing a common theme, and the theme is newness. We need something new. I want to encourage this council as you walk down this final journey to November the 3rd to understand that I'm very proud to be a part of a new voice coming into Norwood, to making sure that the issues that address the residents, that our residents feel comfortable and confident with all of us as community leaders. And starting tomorrow, there will be a presence where I am proud to tell the residents of Norwood that support me, support my thoughts, and I will be personally walking the streets 4 hours a day right up until Election Day with a pole and a sign, sharing with my peers who I believe will help move us right in the direction that we should be going as a community. When you hear the voices of the folks in Norwood, you will hear a common theme. We need something different. And with that, I want to publicly stand before you as my peers. If you are not on that sign, I am still torn in my heart, because I know, I use the mayor as one fine example. When my mother was in rehab and I would see him with his family member, he would have the same look of love for his family as I have for mine. And so we can all live together, even though we may not agree in everything. But some won't be on my list. And it's not that I'm saying to residents, don't vote because they're bad people. That's not it. I'm just saying that there's a new energy, there's a new type of people moving into Norwood, and we have to have a mindset and an energy where the people in Norwood feel comfortable that their leadership speaks their language, that the leadership speaks their concern. So I want to publicly say to some of you who might not be on that list, it is nothing personal. It's just sometimes we need something new. And I want to tell you that we are getting ready to really take Norwood, we meaning us collectively, to take Norwood to where we will be a pilot community. And starting tomorrow, when we have Republicans and Democrats walking together, showing the community it's not about party, it's about the people. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. And those of you who are some here in the room and some aren't, they're going to be a part of that with me. I thank God for you. I thank God for our leadership. I pray for each and every one of you as you do what you do. But let's just get ready to really rock and roll in Norwood. And let's make this community a community that our children can be proud of. In closing, the mayor mentioned he went to the police thing tonight. Well, my son is one of those junior explorers. And my son one day wants to be the chief of police here in Norwood. So I really have a commitment to stand for all of my residents. And when I stand, you hear me say my residents, because that's how I feel in my heart. And so let's continue to work together. And the new council that's coming in, let's get ready to show our residents that it's not about party. It's not about politics. It is only about the people. God bless each and every one of you, and I look forward to what God is getting ready to do in Norwood. God bless you. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Mr. James. We'll move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Mr. Clark.
At the last council meeting, we talked about maybe possibly having a safety committee to discuss dogs and things. Ms. Allen has been in contact with the health department addressing some of those concerns. So I think we're going to pull that out of committee and take a little bit of a different direction. So we'll have some updates on that coming. But at this point, we're just going to kind of work through it. I think a lot of it's just communication, making people aware of what our laws and ordinances are. So we're going to kind of go in that direction.
Great, thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there any other unfinished business? Mr. Sacre?
Just a note, Madam President, that the Montgomery Road Bridge project has been completed, so it only took a couple weeks' time of inconvenience, but it is now back up and running full board with new pavement and new lines, and so it, like I said, under time, the time frame they said it was going to be, was all done. So just FYI.
Great, thank you, Mr. Sacre. Any other unfinished business? Is there any new business? Mr. Clark?
I would just like to invite everyone again to our harvest party coming up this Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. We have tons of candy, a bounce house, so if the weather's bad, which it does look like it's going to rain, so please bring your kids over. We'll have bounce house, candy, fun, games. We have putt-putt, indoor putt-putt, lots of fun.
Where is this located?
Oh, Trinity, thank you. I always forget all the important details.
Not
my house, not my house. It's at Trinity Pentecostal Church. We're on Norwood Avenue, 2719. Thank you. Yeah, please don't, I will not be at my house.
I thought for sure you'd want to get that in there.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business? Mr. Sanker?
Yes, Madam President, earlier we had a finance meeting and we brought up discussion in regards to the 2016 appropriation and some preliminary discussions of how we may want to consider putting that together. Just to inform council, we've had some discussion about putting together a permanent appropriation versus a temporary, because basically a temporary would be changed a number of times in the 3 months that it would be in operation. So we'd rather have a permanent, it's just our opinion from discussion, we'd rather have a permanent that we can change as we do on a regular basis, but have something more of a permanent document to really work off of, so department heads kind of have an idea of where they need to be throughout that year and not just working on a 3-month period. One of the major items that we have been discussing and we're going to look at is the final debt payment that is due in April of March of this year, April. And we're looking at potentially taking that last bond payment and adding that into the budget and then work our budget back from that. So we're looking to pay that off, get that behind us, and then work on what's coming in. And hopefully if this upcoming year revenue stays strong and consistent, then we put that in and back that out and get rid of that. Then going into 17, by the end of 17, potentially, we will hopefully be back in the black and up and rolling. So that is our preliminary goal of how we're going to approach this budget process or appropriation process. And so hopefully within the next few weeks, we'll be able to have some documents that we can kind of look at and mull over, that we can hopefully have something, on the books and ready to go before the end of the year. So just so you know, and if you have any ideas or suggestions or questions or what, may or may not you want to see in or out of it, we can take a look at those as we're putting this thing together, because it'll take a good month or so to actually, get this pretty firm document together. So just an FYI for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Sanker. Ms. Allen?
Yes, this is kind of in regards to what Mr. Sanker was saying. I just want to commend the Finance Committee just from the beginning, since I'm ending my time here, but so it was we were not in the best, partly the economy, but the Finance Committee has worked so hard with the leadership of Joe. It's just been interesting to watch the process, and not easy, but I'm just encouraged to kind of hear the direction it's going, especially this idea of paying it off. So I'm glad to be leaving on that note. It feels really positive, so.
Thanks.
And I'm sure Mr. Stith feels very positive. I'm not sure he ever believed that day would come when we'd be able to make that final payment. You can comment, go ahead. He's still doubtful.
It's not the final payment, but it's the big one.
The big one, okay. The big one. Okay. Is there any other new business? Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to remind everyone that this Saturday, October 31st, is Halloween, and trick-or-treating will be between the hours of 6 and 8. I want to encourage anyone going out trick-or-treating to wear reflective clothing. Also consider face paint as compared to masks, because masks have a tendency to cover one's eyes, and we don't want any kids getting injured as they go trick-or-treating gathering their candy.
Good advice, thank you.
Yes, my kids are going to be one of those injured ones.
We have your children at one of the injuries. Is there any other new business? We have no communications nor absent members. Mr. Mumper.
I move we adjourn.
Seconded by Mr. Thornberry. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye. The motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned.